Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope you guys had a great Tuesday today. Oh my gosh. So it wasn't a great day in the markets. Obviously, we know that. Miners were down. Bitcoin was down as well. We'll take a look at those as always. We also have some good stories from Iren, Cleanspark. There's a lot of stuff going with Iren right now. We're going to talk about a lot about that one. But Cypher as well. Sorry, I said Cleanspark, but Cypher. Cypher is the one that had a purchase today as well. So we'll take a look at that. And I think that's going to be it. So it should be pretty easy today. But the big story is Iren today, I think. So we'll take a look at that. Not that one. I didn't want that one. Let's see, where is it at? There it is. Enough financial advice as always for intimate only. Do your own research. Full disclosure down below that. You guys know the drill. Hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was down a little bit today. It wasn't down too bad. It was down just a wee bit. It was down only 1.15%. We hit a low of 90,682, closed at 91,929. So it wasn't that bad, right? We needed a healthy pullback, and I've been talking about this since we weren't able to get above 100,000. I'm like, we're going to need a healthy pullback because we've been up huge here with Bitcoin. We are down from the top as of today, or at least when we bottomed out. We were down about 9%. Historically, Bitcoin can go down about 20%, right? So we're not there yet. But given the cycle that we're in right now, a 10% pullback, okay, I'll take it roughly, right? If we do that, 20% would be down to around like the 82,000 mark or something like that, where we would go down historically. But I think because of all the adoption that we're having here, if you guys are following a lot of the people on Twitter, they're talking about there's just so much more adoption happening with states, more states coming online here to include Bitcoin as a strategic reserve as well. So there's just a lot more happening here. Companies, everything else, right? So we'll see how much of a pullback we actually get this time around. I'd be happy with a 10% or 9% even if we get that. Right now, Bitcoin's not doing too bad. It's up a little bit here in the green. It is up right now, 0.7%. We are at 92,576. Miners, on the other hand, had a rough day today. They were definitely down a lot more so than Bitcoin was. Bitcoin being only down 1% something. The miners did, a lot of them did a lot worse, right? Bitfarms was down 3%, almost 4%. BitTier was down like 9.5%. Cypher was down 12.7%. Cleanspark down 12.8%. CORZ 5.4%. Hive 6.8%. Hut down 3.2%. Iren down 8.7%. It was up in the after hours after they reported. They were up like 15% at one point. I think they ended up at being around 8% up on the day, or in the after hours at least. So I expect to see good things from Iren going forward. We'll see. Marathon was down 5.49%. Riot was down 7.3%. Wolf was down 6%. So it was a bloodbath in the miners today. Shorts were having a great day. If you were shorting the miners, you did very well today. But just be careful there going forward. You're going to get your socks knocked off, I think, once Bitcoin really starts running into the green going forward, which we should have a Sentinel rally happening here in the next couple of weeks. This week is going to be tough, like I said, because we have a short week. We got some trading happening tomorrow, but it's going to be, I think, a shorter trading day tomorrow. We got Thursday off because of Thanksgiving. And then I think we got some trading also on Friday, but I think it's also going to be limited as well as far as time-wise is concerned. But that's it on the miners here really quick. Just wanted to cover that as well. And let's take a look at the network hash rate as well. See what's going on there on it recently here. On the 7-day average, it's going back up here. This is a day delayed. So 762 exahash as of yesterday. On the 7-day, 30-day average is spiking here. We are back up to 741 exahash here. It's surprising that the 7-day, well, the 7-day is up a little bit here as well. So that's probably the reason why for it. So that is continuing to go the way we thought it was going to go. And then as far as how has Bitcoin done so far in November, well, it's doing really good still. 32% up on the month of November. We still have roughly couple more days of trading of Bitcoin. I think when's the new day on it? It's Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember which day turns into December. So we have that going for us, and I believe December's going to be a really good month as well for us. We should get a Sentinel rally, then we're going to probably get a pullback afterwards, or maybe even before that a little bit, with people selling to put a bunch of green on their figures for the end of the year, right? Profit taken as well. So that's going to be happening like a week or two before the end of the year possibly. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I think like the first couple of weeks in December should be really good for us. Okay, so that's it on that one. Let's take a look at the stories that we do have here. First one is from Cypher. So Cypher Mining announces acquisition of new site in West Texas, adding 100 megawatts of capacity to its growing portfolio of power and data center development opportunities. So, I mean, they just keep churning these kind of purchases like almost every couple of weeks here, it seems like. So they're on a buying spree right now, which is nice because in the end, it will, I think, do very well for them. Okay, so they have... let's see. Today announced it has closed a transaction to acquire a new site in West Texas called Stingray for a cash payment of $4.1 million and a variable fee of 1.5 cents per megawatt hour, which I think converts into like 0.0015 cents kilowatt hours, I think, or hour, whatever it is. 5 years for after energization of the site. The site features up to 100 megawatts of front of the meter capacity and all necessary regulatory approvals. 250 acres of land adjacent to the transmission assets and completed facility extension agreement with Encore. So with the addition of this new site, Cypher's active portfolio and development pipeline will total 2.6 gigawatts across 11 sites. That's huge, right? That is now getting into the territory of Iren, I guess you could say. Iren also has a large portfolio of power going forward as well. So this is great news for Cypher. And it's depending on when they can develop it. Let me see here. Scheduled energization is in 2025 and 2027. We now have data centers scheduled to energize in 2026. The complements are new data centers scheduled to energize in 2025 and 2027. Okay, so this is definitely on the longer time frame more so. So if we have a similar cycle like we've had in the past, where Bitcoin peaks sometime in 2025, we're guessing in Q3, historically at least, maybe Q4, something like that, then this is going to be more set up for building into the bear market, which I think is also good. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out for them. I would definitely love to see them build out more in 2025. I know a lot of their build out is going to be happening in, I believe, the second half of 2025 and into 2026. But we'll see if maybe they can increase that timeline or decrease that timeline and get it up and running a little bit faster going forward. All right, so that's it on Cypher. Iren here. So Iren reported their Q1 fiscal year 2025, which is our Q3, their Q1. And there's quite a bit of good news here. So the big things here are 50% expansion accelerated to the first half of 2025. They were targeting 31 exahash and then 40 exahash as well is on the table. Now they're expecting 50 exahash here by the end of the first half. That's great. That's always nice to see. They're focused on alternative funding instruments. So what could those be? Those could be convertible debts, right? We've seen those as well, potentially on that. And then potential for investor distribution in 2025. I'm not so keen on that. I would rather they, well, we'll talk about that. Well, maybe we'll talk about it now. But I'm not keen on any of these companies saying that they're going to be doing distributions, right, for investors. They're saying potential, which I think is a very flexible word to use, I think, in this regard. Because if we have a similar cycle like we had in the past, like I've said, Bitcoin usually peaks somewhere in the third quarter of next year. If that's the case, I would rather have them keep the money that they have to be able to then build out into the bear market potentially. And the reason I say that is they're going to need more capital. So I'd rather have them use that capital that they gained or the revenue that they gained here in 2025 with Bitcoin going up to where it's going to go, and use all that revenue to then fund the expansion and growth into the bear market instead of giving it out to the investors. Because then if they give it out to the investors, then they're going to have to dilute investors anyway. So it's kind of like, doesn't really make much sense there. I think what we really want to see is these companies, not only Iren, but Cleanspark, Riot, Marathon, Bitfarms, whoever it might be. What I really want to see is, okay, if you're profitable for like, let's say 8 quarters in a row, at that point, you have a little bit more historical data on being profitable, and you can say, yes, we're making a lot of money here. We're going to give back to the investors. I could see that happening. But until we know for certain that we don't have these kind of cyclical natures with Bitcoin going way up and then going way back down again, and as long as there's a continued increase in Bitcoin price going forward for the next couple of years, okay, then that makes sense, right? Do that at that point. But right now there's, in my opinion, at least too much uncertainty with Bitcoin and the repeat of the cycles. So that's kind of the way I think of it as well. Other good news here is transition to U.S. domestic issuer. This is really, really good news because we've seen companies that are actually domiciled in the United States. They get a little bit more of a oomph in the price appreciation and everything else because there's just so much more money being tossed at them at that point. They're available for other instruments, for being included in, what are those called? Like the Russell 3000, all those other things are able to be included in those things as well. So that's kind of the way I look at it, okay? But here's what we have from them. Bitcoin mining, business update here. 21 exahash installed, on track for 31 exahash next month. So that's great there. We're gonna see a lot of growth here next month. We'll see how much growth we had here in November, maybe a little, if any. But then we do get a huge growth here in 30 to 31 exahash by the end of next month. Accelerating expansion to 50 exahash in the first half of 2025. That's fantastic. Previously, it was scheduled for H2 of 2025. So again, they're decreasing their timeline basically. So that's great news here. Single site expansion at Childress, and then S21 Pro miners previously secured fixed price of 18.9 per terahash. They can pull on that to get more miners to get to 50 exahash. So that's fantastic there. All right, going down here. What else have here? Other. Continuing to advance negotiations with parties on a range of structures in relation to Iren sites. Any transaction would need to reflect strategic value of Iren assets. So that's good. Installing liquid cooling infrastructure at Childress and Prince George to support NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. Those are coming out later on next year as well. So that's good that they're working on that already now to possibly be able to use that. And then power and land here, Iren 1.4 gigawatt Sweetwater site located 60 miles from Abilene, Texas. Procurement underway to support Iren-owned 1.4 gigawatt substation energization by April 2026. So that's basically a year and a half out, roughly. And then construction planning for multiple pathways. And then Dan on the conference call today stated that like 2 hours before the conference call, he got an email from one of the hyperscalers of 1 trillion plus valued hyperscaler that previously was not interested in the Sweetwater site. Now they are all of a sudden interested in it. We'll see if we can get anything from that. It could be a couple of things. They could lease the site out to them. The hyperscaler could buy out the site as well for a premium there. Or they could build out their own data centers there to then host the hyperscalers' machines there. So there's multiple ways that they could work around it. We'll have to wait and see what they actually get as far as the deal there, if they get a deal, right? It's early stages on that. But if they can do that, I think that would be really good for shareholders here. So I'm extremely bullish on Iren here going forward. Corporate and funding, focus on alternative funding instruments. We talked about that. Strong operating cash flows to support potential investor distribution in 2025. Like I said, I have it in red here. I don't really like this. I would rather have them use the funds to then grow into the bear market potentially. Wait and see if you have 6 quarters of positive cash flow where you can do that, and then do that. Transition to U.S. domestic issuer status in 2025, including U.S. GAAP reporting. Great news here. So love to see also with that regard, Bitfarms is the same thing, right? They're based out of Canada right now. Love to see them do that. Would love to see also Hive do that as well. They're based in Canada. Get incorporated here in the United States. That's going to open the floodgates for more capital going to those guys as well. So all good things here. A couple other things here. I think we talked about all the stuff that I wanted to talk about. And the reason we're doing this live stream kind of late is because I wanted to listen into the conference call there, and it didn't get published until like 8 o'clock my time, Central Standard Time. So I wanted to listen to it and go take a shower, get ready, and do this live stream. But we'll take a look at the revenues and things like that on the charts here in a second. I'm looking at my notes here if I covered everything. Sweetwater site, hyperscaler interested. Yeah, all options are on the table. Hyperscalers, we're looking at basically Google, Amazon, Microsoft. Those guys are basically valued at over $1 trillion. That's kind of what we're looking at. It's not going to be CoreWeave. CoreWeave is not even public yet. I think they're going to try to go public, being valued at like 40 billion or something like that. So that's nowhere near a $1 trillion value of it. So it's going to be one of those guys looking into it here. There was some questions also on the connections for fiber at that Seawater site. And I can't remember the gentleman's name there from Iren that mentioned that they do have, I think, multiple connections there that they could get connected. So it's not really an issue there as well. So that's possibly why the hyperscaler is looking at those sites. Yep, and I think that's it that I marked here. Yep. What else was there? I think that was it. So let's take a look at the numbers we do have here for Iren here right now. As of today, I think this was, they reported, and at the end of September 30th, they had 188 million shares outstanding. They didn't increase the shares too much from one quarter to the other, which was nice. Stock price today was 956, so they're at 1.9 billion market cap roughly. The performance of the last 12 weeks has been actually pretty good. They're up 67% from 12 weeks ago, 24 weeks ago, or 8 weeks ago, they're up 24%. 4 weeks ago, they're up 19%, and then last week, they were only up 1%. Okay, they're currently at 21 exahash. Their future hash rate is supposed to be 31 exahash. Once they actually do pull on the options to buy more miners, I will update that. Right now, we just have them at 30 exahash, but I have no doubt that they will get to 50 exahash as well. And we could possibly do that, but I just don't have any contracts in place right now, so that's what I always go by. It's what has been bought. They do have the options, like I said, and once they do pull on that, we'll update this as well. Going down here, we've seen, here we go. That's for quarters revenue here. Has been kind of flat, more or less, for the last couple of quarters. For them, Q3, 54 million, Q4, 57 million. They're down a little bit in Q1, which they reported here now was 54 million. And then look at this. This current quarter, I'm looking at them to be about 96 million. That's not including the energization to get to 31 exahash, which is going to happen in December. That's going to add a little bit to them, depending on when that gets energized. If it gets energized in like the beginning of the month, okay, that's going to be a huge increase in there for them as well, based on the average Bitcoin price here currently in November, and then December, we'll see where it ends up at. Okay. Last 4 quarters operating costs minus depreciation, those have been rising, but their hash rate has also been rising tremendously here, so I can understand the reason for that. So that's good. Custom mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation, I have them at 36,000 per Bitcoin, and part of that also includes, I believe, their HPC business as well, but I'm guessing that's not using that much electricity for those things, so it's going to be, maybe within $1,000 or $2,000 of that right now, but that has been increasing. And then Bitcoin mine quarterly has been coming down, but I believe that's going to start going back up as they get more hash rate here in December, actually, right now. Okay, debt to equity, lower is better, 0.13. Still really good here. Current ratio, higher is better. They're at 1 right now. They have paid a lot of the machines and things like that currently. They are fully funded to 31 exahash, I believe. And then they're going to have to find some funding to get to 50 exahash, basically. All right. Let's see, total current assets, right? We can see the big decrease here from 452 million to 148 million. That's for buying machines and all that stuff, building out the sites. That's all included in that. Total current liabilities increased to 146 million here from 51 million. Still really good though. No questions or no problems there right now. Going down here, we'll take a look at some of these things here in a second. But as we talked about current assets, right, those decreased quite a bit here, 148 million from 452. This was at the end of their fiscal year. Total non-current assets was 1.1 billion here compared to 700 million. So that's a nice increase there as well. And that big increase was on property and equipment. That went up to almost $1 billion here from 441 million on that one from the prior quarter. Current liabilities went up a little bit, about, almost 3 times to 146 million from 50 million. And then total liabilities went up as well, basically 3x to 151 million from 55 million. Total liabilities and stockholder equity increased a little bit here to 1.2 billion from 1.15 billion. So that's okay. Revenues here, we talked about that as well. 54 million here in revenues for total revenues. 49 million of that was for self-mining. AI Cloud was 3.189. So that's a little bit of an increase from where they were the prior quarter. And then other services went up just a little bit as well on that one. Going down here to expenses, here we can see, let's see, what else do we have here? Depreciation and amortization went down to 34 from roughly 20, actually went up from Q4. So 34 to 26, they bought more machines, so that's the reason why. Electricity charges went up a little bit here as well to 29 million from 25 million. And then realized gain on financial assets went down to 4.2 negative from 911,000. Employee benefits and expenses went down to 7.7 from 9.3. Love seeing that, actually. Share-based compensation actually went up from 6 million to 8.1 million, almost 8.2 million. What else do we have here? Other expenses went up as well, 9.7 here from 2.5 roughly. Operating profit Negative 53 million from negative 22, right? That's not really too good, but we know where Bitcoin's been, and they had some things that were up a little higher here. What else? Net loss and gain income for the period was negative 51 million from 27 million. So they ended up losing roughly 27 cents per share compared to, I think for the year was negative 29. I didn't get the data for Q4 numbers from them. They didn't report it on that one. Okay, going back up here, we talked about some of the things here. Let's see here. Cost of one Bitcoin, like I said, was 36, and that is based on just using electrical charges and the number of Bitcoins that they mined here. For that debt to equity, we talked about that along with current ratio. Book value here is 1.129 billion. Price to book ratio 1.67. Enterprise value 1.9 billion. EBITDA was negative 16. Looks like 16.5, 16.3 billion. EV to beta, don't have that one for them. Debt to EBITDA was negative 9.2. Revenue 54. General administrative compensation was 15. That includes employee benefits and share-based compensation. 29%. And take out the share-based compensation, you're looking at under 20%. So that's actually pretty good there. So overall, things are looking really good for them, especially as they continue to build out into 2025. And then we'll see if they can get anything from the hyperscaler there as well, right? Can they get a nice premium on the land that they have there and the access to electricity? And that's going to be a really good thing possibly. Or if they can work with them and lease the sites or build out data centers for them and lease out the space that way as well. But a lot of good things here happening, and that was seen here in the price of the stock going up in after hours right now. As far as where do I see them right now, they're at 956 based on the last 3 quarters that they're in, right? And the quarter I was on almost on target here. I was only off by 0.028% on it. I had them at 49,000 or 49,561. They came in at 49,575. So they were up a little bit higher. I was a little bit lower, but still right on there. Love seeing that. But based on that, the last 3 quarters, right, that were reported, they're actual in the current quarter, which is estimated right now. I'm at between 1283 and 1924. They're at 956. I do think they are way undervalued right now as it is. If we use the numbers here for November right now, which I'm using on this one, I believe, based on the revenue where Bitcoin is on the average for the month and the hash rate, all that stuff, I have them between 2082 and 3123, right? Way undervalued from where they really should be, especially as Bitcoin is going up in value here for them and for everybody else in general. But yeah, wasn't it a great quarter? No. Was it? But I think it's very optimistic going forward for them with everything that they're doing. So I think the best is yet to come for us in Iren and a lot of these miners as well. All right, that's it. Now, spreadsheets, as always, you guys know, are available to my Patreon members. That is available to you guys with the link down below. $8 a month for the most part. You might be able to find a couple spots that are still $4 and $5 available. And if you get the annual subscription, you get 10% off. Plus, you get access to our Discord server, which is private, and we do have some great conversations there as well. All right, so there's my sales pitch. If you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. You know the deal. Now let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things here. See what you guys have to say on any of this stuff. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. And as always, preface your question with a question mark or a question, and then the question itself. And give me a little time to get through them all. I will get through them all, but it's going to be a while before I do. So let's go over here, and then I'll go up on my comments here and see if I can find any questions here. All right. So I'm going to start out with, let's see. Okay. We'll start here with Mr. and Mrs. Hotwater, I guess. Question sub, I think it's time to dump Bitfarms for Iren and Cleanspark. Iren definitely delivered, and so is Cleanspark. Would you agree? I agree, yeah. I was thinking about that today also while I was reading it and listening to the conference call. I was like, man, maybe it's time to, I'll give Bitfarms a couple more days, right? Let them report the November numbers. We'll see where they come in at. And at that point, maybe I'll dump half and put it into Iren, I think. We'll see how Iren runs, though. All right. Iren is still no hodl. Yes, there's still no hodl. They're using their revenue from Bitcoin mining to fund their operations, their growth, and all that stuff. Let's see. Let's see here. LM says, tired of picking the right miner for the week, just buying WGMI right now. I have that one too in my 401k profit sharing plan. Let's see. Sorry, I was a bit late. Is this bullish or bearish on Iren? Bullish. It is definitely bullish for Iren. Okay. Let's see here. Dan's idea to return dividends distribution instead of holding BTC sounds crazy. Other than that, Iren sounds good. Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't like the idea of them returning Bitcoin to the investors or even cash to the investors, whether it's through a dividend or whatnot, distribution. We need to have these miners, if they're going to do this type of stuff, like I said, at least 6 to like 8 quarters of them being profitable in the red with everything included. At that point, okay, things have definitely changed in the Bitcoin cycles. Things are looking much better. We can definitely try doing that. But right now, I think it's just way too early. All right. What other questions do we have here? When are Cleanspark earnings? I don't know. I haven't seen anything reported from them yet on when they're going to release those. I knew it was going to be a little bit later on because it's their fiscal year end, so those numbers get audited, so it always takes longer instead of just the unaudited quarterly results. All right. Let's see the question. Okay. Question, do you think Iren will go down tomorrow like it did after the last earnings report? I don't think so. I think the news is great. 50 exahash in the first half, right? They got an interest from the hyperscaler. We'll see what works out with that. So I don't think so, but I could be wrong on this. Depending on what Bitcoin does tomorrow, Bitcoin goes down, we might be down. What else? Trying to get through the questions, comments. Okay, getting close to the end here. Okay. All right. Why no earnings day from Cleanspark? The only thing I can think of is their auditor has not provided them a date where they're going to be finished with it. That's the only thing I can think of. And they're kind of at their mercy right now. They're waiting on the auditor to go, yeah, we're done with your auditing. You're all good to go. If you're going, then that's kind of when they report. What else? Okay. Let's see here. Hi, Seb. Question. Are you familiar with SEC Rule 201? Cleanspark reportedly dropped over 10%. Do you think this rule will help stabilize the miner stocks? Well, that rule's been around since DR Lewis had a great post on it. I want to say it's back to 2011, 2010, I think, or maybe even 24. I can't remember the exact date when the rule came into effect. And it's been there, but it hasn't been triggered often. So I don't know. You need a big drop in these guys over 10% in order to be that. And I don't know whether it's based on the shorts doing it or if it's just in general. If people are selling it, is that not accounted for it? I'm not sure how that all works out, but I know that there is something in place to kind of put a halt on it a little bit. Hi, Seb. How is the stock market hours this week? I'm getting different answers online. Thank you. The stock hours? Let's take a look and see if we can find it here. Let's see if we maybe go. Let's ask Grok, DAI. What are the trading hours this week on the NASDAQ? See what we get an answer from that. Regular hours, pre-market. Okay, it doesn't say anything about holidays, circumstances. Okay, so it doesn't really say on it. I believe I've heard this also that tomorrow is going to be a shorter day. I believe. I think it's going to end like around 1 p.m., 1:30, something like that. So it's going to be a little bit shorter day. And then we'll close on Thursday for trading. Friday, I thought it was going to be also a shorter day, but I could be wrong on it. Let's see, NASDAQ holidays. Let's see if there's any pop-ups up for that. New Year's, Martin Luther, Washington, good year. Friday, June 18th, Independence, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Thursday, November 20th, with the market closing it early on Friday. Okay, so it says here, let me see, pull this up so you guys can see it. But it says here Thanksgiving Day, Thursday is closed, November 28th, with the market closing early at 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday. So we may have an actual regular day tomorrow. We'll see. Okay, so kind of interesting there. Yeah, it is a little confusing sometimes with those, especially on Friday. Why would you close early on Friday? I know Fridays, usually shopping Friday. Maybe that's the reason why. Black Friday. I don't know, but we'll see. All right. Question: what do you think Iren still needs to do for their stock to run? I mean, they're doing everything that they can right now. It's not only Iren stock that's being beaten down. It's Cleanspark, it's Riot, it's Bitfarms. They're all being shorted by the big guys right now that are in other stocks right now. So they can't really do much more. The only thing they can maybe do is buy convertible notes or get convertible notes. Kind of like we've seen with Marathon. Marathon got those, and you had a lot of shorts cover at that point because they want the stock to run up. Okay, let's see. Your question at 50 exahash, Iren is going to be the top miner Q1. Well, they're saying first half of 2025. So that could be in Q1. I'm guessing it probably won't be. I'm guessing it'll be more into Q2 of that year. So that's going to be, they're going to be just slightly behind Cleanspark. Cleanspark's trying to get to 50 exahash by the end of first quarter, I believe. And Marathon's trying to get to 50 exahash here by the end of this quarter, by December. So you'll have Marathon being the biggest, followed by possibly Cleanspark, and then possibly Iren, with Iren possibly doing battle with Riot as well at that point. Okay. What is the bull target for Iren market this cycle? Originally I was thinking about $70 to $80 for them. They didn't dilute that much, which is great. So that kind of holds my line as far as where I think they could go. But if we have a much larger cycle, a much bigger cycle this time around, we could be north of 180,000, right? 200,000, 250,000, which at that point I think they could possibly go above that, above $70 and $80 if we get a really nice run up. All right. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Mara in numbers end of 2024 and end of 2025? Thank you. As far as how much do they mine, hash rate? Hash rate, I think they're going to definitely get to 50 exahash here, which is nice. They're actually reaching their targets here, which is really, really nice. And I mean, as far as their numbers, where will they be in price? Let's take a look at Marathon here. I know their operations have been a lot better here this past month. They're mining more than they did last month, which is good. Let's see here. I wanted to go here. So if we use the numbers here, let's take a look at this here. These are the numbers from October. If they improve their numbers in November and they run even better, let's update their number of days mining here in November. November, where is it at? There it is. I'm at 24. Let's say that they run closer to like, I don't know what's going to be, 27 days, right? On average for that. What is it going to bring them in for that point? At that point, that gets us to 2175 to 3263. They're currently at 2497. I think that's, well, they have a heck of a lot more Bitcoin too. I have my Bitcoin at still 27,000. I think they're at 32,000 something right now, or close to 33,000 Bitcoin. So that's not really being taken into account. I'm just taking into account their mining revenue. But you add that on top of it, which is valued at another 2.5 billion. I mean, yeah, they're definitely probably going to go up even higher than that. So I would say maybe, conservatively speaking here, I would think by the end of the year, they should be closer to like $40, if not more, right? Just kind of back of the napkin math really quick on it. So that's somewhere I'll look here. Next year, oh my gosh, tough to tell right now. But I think they're possibly going to be able to get past their previous all-time high, which was around $80, which then means they could possibly get to like maybe $100, depending on how much Bitcoin they hodl. And do they, repeat the process kind of like MicroStrategy does, where they just keep getting the convertible debts and they keep adding hodl to their stack. That'll be interesting to see. So there's a lot of nuances and a lot of variables here to go and play with to really see where things are going to go. Even more so than we had last cycle, I think. The HPCI is another one that's in there now. Bitcoin going higher than we thought. That's another variable. There, it's just a lot. Let's see. I said more bullish on Cleanspark or Iren. I think I'm still more bullish on Cleanspark. Cleanspark has a hodl, right? A huge hodl there. The only caveat is what will they get for like a hyperscaler, right? Iren has a potential there. We don't know what the outcome is going to be of that. It could be an outcome where they just sell a site, which they're going to get a nice premium on that. That should help them out, have a much better, healthier balance sheet. Or do they actually build out the infrastructure there for the hyperscalers? So there's a lot of unknowns right now, but right now, I think Cleanspark's still a little bit more bullish. See, your private says they said by the end of H1, which probably means by the end of the first half of the year, end of June 2020, 50 exahash question. Am I right? That's kind of what I'm also thinking as well. Okay. What is your new Iren price targets after today's year? It's still roughly $70, $80, but possibly could go higher if Bitcoin goes up higher. Also, if they, depending on the HPCI deal, right? Do they get something massive there from a Hyperscaler? That's an unknown. There's no way to figure that out, right? You know if it's going to be a revenue of $5 million a year, $50 million a year, or $500 million a year. So you just don't know that, and it's really hard to figure that out. All right. Hey, Seb, I know people are familiar with Saylor in the Bitcoin space, but do you also listen to Jeff Booth? Jeff Booth sounds familiar. I don't know if I listen to him. I may follow him, I think, though. If not, I will. I don't have my pen here, but I will put it in here as well in my notes. Let me see here. Jeff Booth. For some reason, that sounds familiar. Booth is he's on X, I think, right? Okay, I put that in my notes. I'll check him out if I already follow him. There's just so many people that I follow, and to be honest with you guys, I'm terrible at names. I need to meet you at least a couple times for me to remember the name. I don't know why that is. I know that there's maybe some cheat sheets on how you can remember people names better, but especially with dealing with, I'm on YouTube. I have the Patreon, and then I have the Discord as well, which Patreon members have different user Discord names. It's tough to remember who's who, and then you got X on top of it. It gets a little bit too much for my head. Let's see. Is the ATM fully done for Iren, and what exahash are they fully funded till? They're fully funded until 21 exahash, and I think I've looked back through the numbers on them, but I thought I saw something where they stated that they've pulled the rest of it for the ATM. I thought. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong on that. Why not both Cleanspark and Iren? I'm invested in both. I have a large position in Cleanspark, which is right now a large position because I got into it earlier, but I also have a large position in Iren as well. Sour Melon says, close Thursday and half a day on Friday. Okay, yeah. Tomorrow, okay, tomorrow's a full day. Thank you for that clarification there. Yeah, I was a little surprised that there would be half a day tomorrow and then close on Thursday and then another half a day. Let's see. Milgun says they are not shorted. It's the same short volume compared to before. Something doesn't make sense. It's the shorts. We had the short halt on Cleanspark last week. What did the stock do? It went up like 10-15% in a day. They're being shorted. Trust me. They are being shorted. Matt from Cleanspark also came out with a tweet on that you know, it's a coordinated short effort on the miners, on all the miners, not just them. Okay. Mara versus Cleanspark. I invested in Cleanspark, and my friend in Mara is bashing me. I've invested in Cleanspark mainly because of their uptime, operations, execution, all those things, right? Where Mara has struggled in those things, but Mara has also got the name recognition. They've been around longer than Cleanspark has. They have larger HODL right now as it is, right? So that could point to maybe Mara maybe doing better. I don't know. Time will tell. Let's see. Could you show us the BTC monthly chart and show us the green consecutive December and January years? Yeah, we can take a look at it here. Where's it? Right there. I think you're talking about this one here, the December and January. So every time we have a bull cycle like 2017, well, this was 2017, 2016. So we're kind of like 2016 right now, because we had the peak in 2017. December at that point was 30% up, and 2017 was 38%. 2020 was the year prior to the 2021 cycle. We were up 46%. Last year we were up even 12%. So historically, December is usually a pretty good month here for us. And then in January, you have to go back over here, how that one stacks up. So let me see, 2016, 2017. So 2016, if we're in 2016 cycle now, comparing it to 2017 going next year to 2025, we'd be down in January, so profit taking at that point. 2021, we were actually up in January, and then last year we were up nicely. We were up 40%. in it. And then this year we're up just slightly as well. But then we had a February that was fantastic here. Okay. Back to the questions. When Moon in due course. We just gotta be patient. We gotta basically wait for the rotation to happen back into the miners from the other place. All right. Question: what is Cleanspark and Bitfarms cost to mine? Cleanspark, I'm still waiting for their quarterly results here for Q3. Bitfarms I have right now at around like 60-some thousand estimated right now. Let me see, where's my number? Break even. Where's my break even numbers on them? I have to update some of these. So I'm not going to share this with you because I have to update some of these. But okay, Bitfarms actually was much higher this time around. I think Bitfarms I updated. Let me double check there. Quarterly expenses is from Q3. Yep. Energy Q3. Yep. Okay. So they had a huge increase in expenses for general administrative, and I got them at right now like 84,000 to have it all break even basically. But I think part of that is a large portion of it being the payoff of the old CEO there. I think that's messing my numbers up because there's really no way it should be that high right now. It'd be the highest out of the bunch here. But I will get this updated once I have all the numbers for every miners, and then I'll share with you guys, and I'll give you my thoughts and caveats to all this data here that I do have. Okay, so they're kind of high, but I think, like I said, I think it's just they paid off the old CEO, which really increased their numbers here. Where do I go? Back here. I am back here already. Okay. Question: how much money does Iren have on the side? I guess you're asking. Iren right now, as of Q3, had let's see, where is it at on the side? Iren, if we look at their numbers here, it is, let's see, their total current assets 148 million, right? But they have about 146 million in liabilities. So they will be pulling on the ATM, I believe, or they will be using like a convertible note, possibly. But we'll see on that one. All right, come back here. Okay, question: when will you be updating Iren PE numbers? I'm going to keep it at the 20 like I have for everybody else. That's really growing nicely here. I know that during the bull run, the miners can catch a much higher PE value, right? Last time we saw, I think, Marathon was like at 40 PE or something like that. So we'll use that. Maybe I'll increase it. I don't know. But I just don't want to increase it too high, too fast to give bad numbers. I'd rather give lower numbers and go much higher from where we are right now. Right? I don't want to be one of those moon boys saying we're getting to $150 in Iren, $200 in Cleanspark, $300 in Marathon, whatever it might be. I'd rather be a little bit more conservative on those things. Let's see. Sarmelin asks, where's the mania? Mania will come in time. We're still at that early stage of the cycle right now where the miners are becoming profitable again. And they will, I believe, still strongly that they will do much better going forward. All right. Let's see. Did you read any book related to Bitcoin crypto? If yes, what is it? I read the Bitcoin Standard. There was another one that I read as well. Let me see if I can find it here. I read let's see, stores. Where's my books? Office, photography, accessories, finance, host, books. There it is. I have Kindle. I don't have Amazon, or I do have Audible. Let me see if that pulls up. Let's see. Get started. Okay. Oh, I gotta use my thumb here. Hold on. Bear with me. To continue. Why is this not working? Sorry. Let me try this in. Oh, doggone it. It won't load up. I have to log back in. But Bitcoin Standard was one of them, was a big one there. I also read, there was another, oh gosh. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's been a while, but I listened to a lot of audiobooks when I was going to college for my master's degree. I had like a 45-minute commute, so I was listening to like an audiobook every 2 weeks, which was great because I had the time to do it. But I haven't been able to do that recently. If you're really interested, I can possibly ask me a question in the comments on the video, and I'll report it. I'll reply there. Okay, let's do that. All right. Bitfarms had a trading volume of over 48 million. Do you think the reason why Bitfarms shares are low is due to the market manipulation, or do you think Bitfarms is not doing as well as a company? Well, I think it's market manipulation is part of it. I think also with the overhang on Riot still owning 19.9% of the shares there, that I don't think helps much. Them being possibly in Canada also might be a little bit a drawback to it. So there's a couple of things that I could think of that why the stock is not doing as well. What is your Bitfarms price target? I think this cycle, if all things were equal, we could get to $10 and higher. We could get to $10, 15, maybe at the peak. If Bitcoin goes over 250,000, we could get to like maybe close to $20. Okay. Do you think Mara will flush down if BTC holds 90,000? Are they being shorted? I think the shorts were covering, but with Bitcoin coming down, that's putting pressure on all these guys here. So yeah, if Bitcoin comes down, I think not only Mara, but everybody else does come down as well. All right. Question, which miners are currently profitable given how much they have been diluting in current market cap? How realistic is it for any of them to hit a previous all-time high? I think with Bitcoin going up higher than we thought, there's a good possibility that they will reach that and surpass it. And a lot of the miners right now in the current quarter that we're in, Q4, should be profitable. Where with Bitcoin is holding at right now and everything else. All right. Is it possible for Mara to get to a 40 billion market cap? Yeah, I mean, I think they're like at 8 or 9 billion market cap right now as it is. Where's my numbers for market caps? Market cap. Here we go. Yeah, they're at 8 billion right now as it is, right? You got Marathon at 8, you got Core at 4.7, Riot at 3.7, Cleanspark at 3.2, TerraWolf at 2.5, Hive at 2.2, Cypher 1.9, Iren at 1.9 roughly. Yeah, so that would only be 5x from here. That's definitely possible, depending where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin goes to 250,000 plus, yeah, I could see that happening. All right, let's go back here. All right. What do you think about Argo and their future? I think their future is actually kind of bleak, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, they have Galaxy Digital. They're basically not extending their contract towards the end of the year. So they have a lot of machines that they need to move out. They are older machines as well. I mean, if I was in their shoes, I'd probably sell the machines that they have right now at Galaxy and see if you can maybe buy some newer machines. Then you might be able to still get close to what you have as far as exahash. Maybe not exactly, but you'd have better machines and see if you can get those rags someplace at another hosting company. See, David says Ben should announce that Bitfarms has bought Iren shares to improve morale. Or they buy Riot shares, one company going after another company. All right, let's see. They are CapEx heavy, not profitable, and have to dilute to stay afloat. A company assessed by those metrics would not be one investors would touch. History limited to 2 cycles. Why will it repeat? Because they become so much more profitable. Like I said, right now in Q4 that we're in right now, I'm willing to bet that the majority of the miners are profitable right now, based on Bitcoin being at 90,000 plus, right? They should be profitable. There's no reason for them not to be profitable unless they throw in a bunch of things into the quarterly results, throw in the kitchen sink, the cat with it, and with the baby bathwater and all that stuff. So I would have expected them to be profitable. As Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, 200,000, that makes them even so much more profitable. Plus, a lot of these guys are still building out, growing, increasing their hash rate, which means they're going to be mining more Bitcoin in general as long as they stay above the network hash rate growth. So they should be doing great there. And yeah, I mean, at that point, you just can't overlook them at that point. You have to go, okay, these guys are massively profitable, whether it's going to be 50% profit margins, 60, 70, 80% profit margins, maybe not 80, but I think maybe 70, 75% profit margins will be really good for them. Yeah. All right. What do you think about, including in our charts? Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the reason. What do you think about Argo in their future? You don't include it in your charts anymore. That's mainly because they're getting kicked out of Galaxy Digital. They don't have a lot of levers they can pull on anymore to grow, which is unfortunate. They had huge potential here last cycle. They did, I think they made a couple mistakes that hurt them tremendously. Got into debt in the wrong way. And not only them, but other companies have also gotten hurt because of it. So I wish them all the best, but I just don't know how they're going to be able to navigate past this cycle. Unless it's an extended cycle for them where they could possibly then maybe be able to figure something out and move forward. All right. Okay. If I were to invest 100,000 right now to a miner, which one is the best one? If you're looking at operations, I would think it'd be between possibly like Cleanspark and Iren. Bitfarms has great operations as well, but their growth is being delayed. I'm not happy about that. If you're looking at HODL, then you're looking at basically Marathon right now. They have huge hash rate as well. Operations haven't been that great, so you kind of have to take it. There's good and bad with a lot of these guys here. All right. When does Bitfarms typically provide monthly updates? Like the very first day of a business day. So I think the first is on Sunday. So they'll provide their numbers on Monday. If they don't have progress for November, it's time to dump them for Iren or even Riot. Riot has been improving. I will say that's good there. But I think a better one might be Iren. Iren doesn't have any HODL though. Riot does. There's pluses and negatives to all these guys. It's not always that easy. Okay. A question. I'm curious as to why you think it would be better to, potentially cashing out of Bitfarms to get into Iren, considering you would not be getting into it at a good price with them compared to Bitfarms. Yeah, I mean, the growth is a big thing. I think growth is going to be a tremendous lever for these guys to potentially get more upside in price, right? I do have a lot of shares of Iren right now, which I got in early in, when did I start buying them? Last year, right around this time I started buying them at that point. And then also when they reported earlier this year that they're upping their timeline or decreasing their timeline to get to 30 exahash and getting 20 exahash by the end of by the end of third quarter, 30 exahash by the end of fourth quarter, I bought more heavily into them. I actually sold a portion of my Cleanspark shares that was basically the money that I put into it to invest. I pulled that money out and put it into Iren at that point. So yeah, I mean, my average price probably would not be the greatest if I started buying them again right now, but I've been buying them up to like the last 2.5 weeks ago is when I bought last. But just I'm looking at growth, right? Growth I think is majorly important here. All right. Is this a good time to average more into Bitfarms, having most of my bets on it right now? I mean, Bitfarms has troubled me. Mainly because, I'll be honest with you guys, right? They stated the goal was to get to 21 exahash by the end of this year. From where they were in the beginning of the year, I thought, man, this is going to be really good growth for them. Now they're pushing that out into early sometime 2025. We don't know exactly when. So that is a downer for me. So, I mean, I'm in Bitfarms heavy as well. Right now, Bitfarms and Iren, I think Iren is up a little bit more than Bitfarms as far as value is in the whole portfolio is. But Bitfarms is also a big one there that I've been buying into it for a long time. And I still think it's way undervalued from where it really should be. Even more so than some of these other guys here. And we can look at it here on the enterprise metrics. Here we go. So you can see here that right now on this one, Bitfarms for future hash rate growth, 38 million valued at. It's actually a little bit above Hive, which is at 37 million, but still way undervalued from where Cleanspark's at 42, Iren's at 51 million, right? Marathon at 15 million. So it's still way undervalued in that respect. So will it do well going forward with Bitcoin going up? I believe so. We'll have to wait and see how much of an overhang the Riot shares that they own there have on them. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But it's definitely more bullish in the past than I am right now, but I still think it's going to do very well. Where do I go? Questions. All right. Okay. Might other shorted miners consider doing convertible notes similar to Marathon? Thanks, Seb. They're probably thinking about it. For sure. Right. You saw what the effect was with Marathon, so And then you had Asher Goodnote, I think it was yesterday, come out with a poll. Should they do a similar thing where they offer debt to buy more Bitcoin, things like that? And that was a highly, I think, what was it, like 90 some or 80 some percent of the people responded that they should, which was like 20 some thousand people, did that poll on. All right, question. I'm curious as to why you, okay, I talked about that one already. Sorry. Another question. All right. Special question late here. SSR triggered on Cleanspark yesterday. Wanted to buy at 1290, but it hit 1350 overnight. I own 25% of my portfolio in Cleanspark at 14.2 average. Should I buy more now or wait for 12.9? Well, we still could go down more, right? I don't know exactly where we could go down. Yeah. Bitcoin's only down 9% from the peak. It could go down more. If we're looking at previous cycles where it was and where it went down to, historically we went down like 20%. So we still could go down even more. So I would say dollar cost averaging as best as you can. And if we get a red day on Bitcoin and the miners, I think that's a great time to get in. But I'll always have a little bit maybe cash on the side to buy more if it dips even more. All right. Bitcoin at 172,000. What you think Iren be? Well, I would think that they would be at least double from where they are right now. They're going to be just so much more profitable at that point. But that's kind of where I would think at least it would be a double. Okay. Hi, Sub. Can you explain again CORZ possible dilution? CORZ dilution is going to be happening when the warrants get exercised. So I think you're going to get to approximately, was originally I think we were expecting right around 450 million shares at that end once all the warrants are exercised. But I don't know when that's going to happen. Could happen this quarter, could happen next quarter, could happen the following quarter, whatever it's going to happen, but we're going to definitely get diluted because of it. Okay. Would a potential acquirer of Iren not suppress the top side price? Well, I don't think any hyperscaler wants to buy out Iren outright, right? I think they want to buy sites from them. They don't want to get into the Bitcoin mining because that's not their forte, not their experience. They don't care about that. They make a lot more money off of being a data center provider, basically. So I don't expect them to get bought out completely, but I am expecting there to have a hyperscaler work with them, whether it's through a lease program on the site, or Iren builds out data centers for them and they lease the megawatts there, basically kind of similar to CoreWeave and Core Scientific, or they just buy out the sites. So that's kind of the three things I'm expecting there. Okay. With Iren getting to 50 exahash and their cost to mine being around 28,000, will they be the most profitable? Okay. There's a caveat to the 28,000. There's a lot of, I would say, look at the bullet points or the, what's it called? Oh, gosh. Footnotes on that assumption, right? There's a lot of assumptions going into that and them also using, I think it was HPC revenue to then kind of give credit back into the Bitcoin mining side of things. It's a little wacky. I don't think it's a genuine number for them for just Bitcoin mining itself. I know that they're going to have much better joules per terahash, so efficiency on mining, but yes, I don't think it's going to be that low. Okay. Let's see, question. Do you think the shorts are desperate to cover because it's becoming obvious time is not on their side? BTC will run. When these same sharks start buying, it will be a frenzy. They have no shame. Yeah, I mean, they don't have, I mean, look, they're trying to make money on it on the upside and on the downside too, right? So I can't blame them for that. They play it a different way than we do. Or at least the way I play it to invest. I'm an investor, I guess you could say, for a duration of time. It's not forever, but it is for a duration of time. Some people play the market, right? They play the swings on it, which is fine also. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just depending on how much time do you have to put into it. I don't have a lot of time, so I dollar cost average it, and that works for me. So other people have more time. They can see what's going on. They read the charts. They do all this analysis and other things that works for them, which is, I think, fantastic, right? And that's great for the market in general. But the big guys here right now, we have so many institutions in the miners. There's people that are buying a crap ton of ETFs, MicroStrategy as well, that they hedge their bets. So they're getting into those positions and they're hedging their bets with shorting the miners. Eventually, I think they will secede from doing that, because the revenues are going to be just so huge. You can't continue to short because you know you're going to get wrecked at that point. Okay. How did Iren's stock-based compensation for Q3 compare to Riot's and Maros? It was much lower, actually. They were at, what, 8 million, I think, whereas Riot was like 20, 30 million, something like that. Both of them were kind of high, except for Iren. Iren was much better. Can you explain how Mara is MicroStrategy? How do these zero interest loans work? It's a Ponzi scheme. It does seem like a Ponzi scheme, doesn't it? Zero interest. So the way it works, the way I understand it at least, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they get these zero interest convertible notes, but they also all get a premium on top of it. I think for marathons it was, or was it MicroStrategy? I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was like a 55% premium on the stock price of when that was done. So if the stock price was $18, 55% premium, you're looking at somewhere around like, what, $27 premium at that point. So there's two options that they have there. They can either pay off the convertible debts at the end of the term, or, well, they're going to have to pay it off one way or the other. They're going to have to pay it with cash, basically, or they're going to have to sell Bitcoin to pay it off, or sell shares to pay it off. So there's always a trade-off with those. It's not always 0%. And more than likely, it might happen where they actually get shares of the company if the company goes up in value and the shares get valued much higher, right? So they could do that. They've done that in the past as well. They had a 700 million 1% interest loan, or 1%, was it a loan or a convertible debt? I can't remember. I think it was convertible debt that they had that was due in 2026. They paid off a portion of it. I think it was like 350 million last year by diluting shares, right? They gave shares to those convertible note holders. So that's kind of the way it works. Jose says, hit the button for the GOAT for Sebastian. Thank you, but I'm no GOAT. There's still a lot of things I need to learn. Ed, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Seb. Have a good night. You too. Thank you so much for coming in here. All right, let's see. Iren said that they will start distribution to shareholders in 2025. Looks like good news, 50x hash in H1 25. Awesome. This is heading to $20. Well, they said possibility of distribution, right? And I'm not for that, Ed, in any way. These businesses are just so capital intensive, and you really need to have at least, in my opinion at least, I could be wrong on this, but I think in my opinion, you want to have at least 6 quarters of positive EPSs where you do have cash flows and you have cash left over that then you can possibly think about giving out to your shareholders. But right now, they're in growth mode. There's no reason for them to give out a distribution in growth mode. None of the companies ever, I think, that were in growth mode gave out distributions. It's just, it's not, doesn't make any sense to me, at least. Alrighty. Let's see. Ullman says, I live in Montreal and try to support Ben and Bitfarms and Ben, but I realized I had to look out for number one. That's me. Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Let's see here. Question. Countries with unlimited printing power and access to energy may mine their own. Bad news for the miners making this their last cycle to do well. Not much to mine after either plus harder subsequent halvings. I tend to disagree with you there. The reason I tend to disagree with you there is why would the countries that, well, first of all, what countries actually have an abundance of electricity that's not being utilized? There's not that many. And the other part of it is why would they spend hundreds of billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even billions of dollars, to build out Bitcoin mining when they can buy Bitcoin much faster, much cheaper? Well, probably not cheaper, but just faster, right? You want to get into it right now, so you're going to probably see more countries buying it than you would have mining it. And then the countries that do have access to abundant electricity, maybe like Russia, but Russia even has problems with their own grid. I mean, they already came out, when was it, a couple of weeks ago, saying that certain regions of the country would not be allowed for Bitcoin mining because they just have problems with infrastructure there. So I don't see that. China would be one of those, but China is like, okay, you may have the people that are wealthy there might mine Bitcoin if China allows it. And I think you already have some miners that are still in China that are mining. But other than that, the risk, the geopolitical risk is too great, I think, for anybody that's of large scale to get into it there. I know you have Bhutan mining with BitDeer there. I just don't see countries doing that. I think they would just probably buy Bitcoin or confiscate it from bad actors, basically. Get it for free that way. Why put out all this infrastructure build out? It all takes time. I mean, at the very least, I think you're looking at least a year to build out. Let's see here. Thanks for the awesome job. Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks so much for coming in here from New Zealand. That's awesome. Let's see. Did you go over break-even BTC prices for each? I have not. No. I will do that. I'm still waiting on Cleanspark to report. Once they report, I will go over that. Okay. What company were you talking about that did the poll if they should BTC with convertible notes? Thanks. That was Hut 8. Okay. See, Ullman says, I agree with you, Seb. The shorters will get wrecked next year. Hold strong and hold long. Well, you don't want to hold too long. You want to hold, as close to the peak as you can. Probably get out before it, even. But we just don't know where that's going to be, and it's going to be definitely not easy. But you don't want to hold it. At least I don't think you want to hold it longer than next year sometime, if the cycle repeats. If it's going to be an extended cycle, then it's going to be a different story. So we'll have to keep an eye on things, how things go. All right, but I've covered all your guys' questions here. We'll call it a day. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's, Wednesday, last day before Thanksgiving. And then we'll be off probably Thanksgiving Day, and we'll be off on Friday. So we'll probably be back in the swing of things on Sunday. So it's going to be a little bit longer weekend here for us and for you guys as well. Let me see. Oh, got a couple more things popping up here. What else? Let's see. Yeah, but that's only done. Talked about that. Okay. Let's mention Bitcoin Strategic Reserve bill introduced in Brazil. Brazil's proposed Bitcoin Strategic Reserve could hold 5% of international reserves. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff happening here like that. Do you think Iren will likely do about a 6x and get to at least 60? Yeah, I think $60 to $70 is where my conservative targets is. We could go higher than that. All right. What do you think of Iren stock price by December? That's only a couple of days away. We have a couple of trading days. We'll be up maybe a couple of dollars. Bitcoin does well, but I'm not expecting anything huge here. What else here? Mars seems to act better than other miners. It doesn't go down as hard. It's like when HPC miners like Core were acting different. Yeah, that's because they're playing the MicroStrategy playbook here. All right. I've got up to all you guys' questions here. So, everyone, thank you so much for coming in here. As always, hope you guys have a great night. Have a great Wednesday. We'll cover whatever happens tomorrow, and then we'll be on a vacation, basically a holiday vacation for a couple of days, and then we'll get back into swinging things on Sunday. So, love you all. Hope you guys stay safe if you're traveling for the holidays, for Thanksgiving. Excuse me. Be safe out there. Safe travels, and spend time with your family. Bitcoin will be around afterwards as well. And I'm sure you're going to have some great conversations with your family members during Thanksgiving dinner as well. So enjoy it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later on. All right.